All right, it's 5 o'clock on Thursday, July 15th. I'd like to call the Town of Rome Board meeting to order. Start off with a roll call, starting with my left.
Wiesinger.
Minter.
Hasdell.
Goldman.
Barheit.
Number 3 is certified posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on July 12th, 2021, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, July 15th was posted at the following locations: emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Daily Tribune at 2:45 p.m., posted at the Rome Town Hall at 2:35 p.m., posted at Pritzel's Trading Post at 3:55 p.m., and posted at Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 3:50 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, going to get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 6, citizen comments. We do have one here, so during the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comments from any town resident, not a member of the town board, on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversation with you, but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk treasurer providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during the citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. And Kathy, I'm not going to try
Hello,
that.
sis.
Okay, would you like to
Hello.
go with the microphone, please?
Yeah. It's a Z in the name.
Okay, just state your
I
name and
also have a
address, please.
teacher voice. I don't know if this works or not. I come before you today because I have a concern. I've been landowner for 28 years, came here, started coming here 35 years ago. Wonderful recreation area, the town of Rome. You know, you got boating and skiing and fishing and golfing. You've got all different capabilities in the winter. I am a camper in a travel trailer. I am a retired grandma and a retired teacher. Retired grandma, no, very busy grandma, sorry. And I come up here to get away and relax, just like I did when I worked, and now we come up here even more. And my biggest concern right now is not about the growth around here and the woods being sold and people camping. My concern is about the lack of septic and water that has to be provided. I followed the rules for 28 years. I have a camper, I have a travel trailer, I have a well and septic. I have to take it off the property. I have to get it pumped every 3 years and get a permit, and I follow that because those are the rules. I've done my research. I talked to the realtors. I've talked to people here. I've talked to a board member, and the bottom line is, well, they don't have to follow all those rules. It's the lakes people. I'm concerned about my grandchildren coming here as a third generation, enjoying the lakes. And there is no dump station close. There is no requirement to have a septic. And I just think we've gone through this with Saratoga 6 years ago, and they determined that 10,000 head of cattle could cause harm to our water in the lakes here. Well, somebody not properly disposing of their stuff, I think is an issue that I think could affect the lakes eventually. And I like the area, and I like to pass this on to my kids and grandkids. And so I'm asking you as evidence of this is apply the rules to everybody. In this residential area, I know this area, I'm on North Walden Way, and this area behind me, every time I come, there's more places. There is a business in there. I didn't think a business was supposed to be in the R4 camp areas. So I'm asking you to just enforce the rules. I'm asking you that they do have to provide a septic. There is no place. You'd have to drive 20 miles round trip here to go get rid of the stuff in the trailer. I don't want to hear in some years from now that it's been dumped in the far end of the woods or whatever, even just the gray water coming out from dishes and all. So I come to you today just saying, apply the rules to everyone. Make it the same. It's the only thing you can do as a town that is growing is to make the rules apply to everybody. And my concern is the septic and water. And I wish that you could take some action on it. Thank you.
Can you ask a question? Go ahead, put in a question for him.
Do you have any questions?
Not a question, but, so we did pass at 2 town board meetings ago that the camping rules would apply town-wide. So we would require on all camping lots now septic and water. The only individuals that would not have would be non-conforming uses that were put into place prior to that adoption, because our zoning ordinance cannot go retroactive. However, the counties can, and on the next county board agenda, the topic of septics for the entire county is on that, and it's already been approved by their zoning committee, and that would go retroactive, that all properties in Adams County would have to have septic.
That would be wonderful. I did go back and read your minutes for the last 6 meetings, and I saw it popped up, and I did speak to somebody, and they said, well, they're working on it, but I know how government stuff works. It can take a while. I think, the well and septic, I don't know what else is going to be included in that. I just say it needs to be fair for everybody, and if you can get that to move, and they do have to abide by it, you would make me a happy camper. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. No action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements. Jerry, would you like to start?
Yes, the 14 Mile Watershed Alliance will be hosting the annual State of Our Lakes meeting and luncheon on Saturday, August 7th at the Town Center Park. We will have several speakers with information about what has been done on the lakes and what needs to be done, and how people can be involved to help clean up our water. And there will be a free luncheon and some door prizes and music, so it should be a fun day. Starts at 9, we'll be over by 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Dan?
The library board met last week. I know the director has a whole report and all the different things that have been going on over there this summer. The only thing I would add is at the meeting, she reported she is trying really hard to hire a teenager to be one of the part-time librarians, so as to get a teen's perspective on activities and books and things like that. So she's been interviewing a couple of people. She hasn't found the right person yet, but she's working on it, and we all thought that was a good idea to have a teen librarian. Because it would potentially, assist with the kids finding materials that they like.
Dan?
Okay. Past 2 weeks, I attended the Planning Commission meeting and the Utility Committee meeting. Utility Committee, so we talked a bit about We Energies and their gas pipeline expansion out on the western edge of town. We're still short a number of properties in order to get that line put in basically for free to the residents, with the exception of the last 100 feet to your house, right?
You get the first 100 feet.
You get the first 100 feet, sorry.
Yep.
And then whatever's left, you have to pay for. But if people are interested, they can come in and take a look at the map that's in the entryway there to see where those lines are proposed. I'd highly recommend people get on board to do that. Now's the time to do it. Otherwise, it's going to cost you big bucks in the future. We're looking at engaging with a consultant on getting sewer to the business park. Of course, there's a different number of ways to do that. And there seems to be, like we were talking about the last money available. It's just going to find it and how you get it. So more to come on that. Plan Commission, we started figuring out our strategy to review the comprehensive plan for the town. So we'll get that in motion in the next meeting next month.
Thank you. Bob?
Yes, just a reminder that a week from this weekend is the Lake Camelot Frolic on August the 21st. It's not a week from this week, it's a month from this weekend.
So anyway, just that's coming up, and it's always a good event. So thanks.
Thank you. In one of our first meetings, we talked about items of interest the board would want to pursue for the betterment of the community. One of the things that are already in motion is the brush and tree ordinance, and the other items will probably be addressed during our budget. But I thought about other things too, that we had brought up in the past about Knowles Nelson and some of the other grants that are out there. And again, we're not the experts. We don't even know what grants are out there. But I'd like the board to think about items to pursue that might have grant ramifications, whether it be the Knowles Nelson, the DNR, State of Wisconsin, Legacy Foundation, anything else we can come up with. But just think about some ideas of betterment of the community that we can use some grants for, and then just give it your thoughts and put on the agenda for the next round. So, anybody in the audience have any thoughts on that? Anybody a grant writer? They know where all they come from? We don't know, but we'd like to learn. Yes.
I would
Michael?
just say we've begun exploring, examining the Knowles Nelson program, and maybe we should combine efforts and just share information.
Sure.
That we get or you get, and do that collaboration.
Appreciate it. You bet. Okay, number 8, department and committee reports.
Only if there were any questions, otherwise the reports are provided in your packet.
I had a few.
Sure.
On Derek Hughes, we kind of treat that as a profit center. Is there a way to get? I'm used to seeing operating statements, and it doesn't have to be extreme or anything like that. But is there something we can review to give us an idea of the operation going on out there?
We can print a budget year to date for them so you could see what they've brought in.
Okay, budget year to date versus the budget, I guess, so you get an
Yes.
idea of where we're at. Okay, I appreciate it.
Yep.
And then I had
Is
one
that
other.
something you want included in your packet during the summer months when they're open?
Yes, please. Also, this kind of goes to Chief Lobby. We had alarm issues at several locations. Is it common to have these continuous going on certain locations? We've got 3 in particular. There was 3 alarms. I'm guessing they're false alarms.
Yeah, after the third false alarm, they get tickets. Some businesses have trouble with employees and the alarms
Okay.
get set off more than others.
Okay, thanks.
So along with that, if we could introduce the new.
Oh, please, yes.
Why don't you guys just go up and introduce
You're all up.
yourselves at the mic so that people on TV can see you, and then you can be dismissed.
Well, I'm Sergeant Brian Upton. I'm not exactly new, but I haven't met all of you guys, so I just want to introduce myself. I've been here a little over 6 years now. I'm the only sergeant in the department at this time. So if you guys ever need anything, give me a call and I can see what I can do for you.
I am Officer Katie Jason. I've actually been with Nakusa Ambulance out here for about 11 years. I'm a paramedic and firefighter with Nakusa Fire Department. So recently transitioned into law enforcement. So I'm one of the newest full-time members. So you'll probably be seeing more of me out on the road.
I'm Officer Tyler Upedo. I'm doing Paw Patrol this summer just to get some experience, and then I'm going through the academy this fall. So.
Good.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
No others? Anything else on departments?
Nope.
That's it. Discuss and possible action on the following items. Number 9, discussion and possible action approval of the July 1st, 2021 meetings. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 10, discussion only. Presentation from Michael Kaiser regarding an update on Sand Valley Resort accomplishments and undertakings and Lido Conservancy project progress. Okay.
Howdy. Thanks for having me here today. It's been a while since I gave an update to the board, so it's good to be here. Jamie listed a few questions and topics she asked me to address, and if there's anything else you'd like me to touch base on, I'm happy to do that. just a few quick updates. Staffing, we did the calculation. Most of our staff are not year-round employees. We will, over some point of the year, employ 750 different people. If you take that as a year-round full-time equivalent, it's 163 people. So I think we're going head-to-head here with the county, which last time I checked was the biggest employer. And we're getting really close. So that's something we're proud of and excited about. And as we grow, we're going to keep employing people. So I just want to give an update on that. Another stat that I like is Evans Scholars, a program that's near and dear to our hearts. We just had our first Evans alumni graduate from college, and remember this is a full ride program. They go to UW-Madison. There's an Evans house that they all live in. Everything's covered. Max graduated. He's now fully employed and thriving. And the last 2 years have been huge. We had last year 5 new Evans Scholars, and this most recent year 4, which is huge for the program. That makes us the biggest new class in the whole state. So we have a total of 13 Evans Scholars and 12 scholars currently in college receiving a full ride, room and board, everything. So wanted to update on that. Since we spoke sometime last season, we experimented with our winter business this year. It's important to us to utilize the infrastructure that we have. Now that we're established as a golf operation, we're trying to grow the winter business. So we had an experiment. It went well, and we're going to put more resources into doing that. One of the big benefits is employing people year round. So many of our positions are seasonal, and anything we could do to keep people fully employed year round will be a benefit to us and we think to the community as well. The big highlight were the ponds and ice hockey, and I know the team is planning a big hockey event, and I won't reveal more than that because it's for them to reveal, but a lot of fun things coming next winter. One of the ones I was surprised by is Wim Hof, which is something I didn't know about, and it's cold water yoga and breathing. So basically the polar plunge, they did that basically all day for 2 days, and they're looking to train all of their national leaders in our frigid waters 1 week next year. So I got a kick out of that. Jamie asked for a construction update on the resort. We've just started construction of 5 new homes, lots 11 through 15, that will all go into the rental pool. Those will commence over the next 2 months and be finished, we hope, by the start of next golf season. We're adding on-course restrooms and some additional storm shelters, and those are all the existing major projects. We are planning an additional restaurant. It's not a certain thing, but we're in the middle of design and programming right now, and our hope is if we're able to pay for it to start in October and have it done sometime toward the beginning of next season. It will be centered in our tennis area, and it will have an indoor tennis court. It will be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and provide 64 additional covered seats, and then some porch seating and outdoor seating. It has a beautiful view over to the Lake Arrowhead ski area. That hill and that ridge faces the sunset, so we're excited about that. Hopefully starting in the fall. We've recently restored full community access to Craig's Porch. That was something that came to my attention through Jamie via Jackie, who reached out to me, and I apologize for that oversight. I didn't personally realize that it was still closed to the public. I knew that during COVID we decided to shut it down and supported that, but as soon as I heard that it was still closed, we opened it up immediately. So now all of our restaurants and public spaces are again open to the public. So I apologize that we made it to July before opening it back up, but that's back up and restored, and something that's near and dear to my heart, and hopefully that will be open forever from here on out. live music, we've started live music again. That's now at the food truck. We could get the days of the week. I think it's mostly Friday, Saturday, but totally open to the public, live music, and a great place to hang out. Lido Conservancy, since getting approval from the town, it's funny how all things happen for a reason. Last March, we we decided jointly to not move forward with Sedge Valley and the great financing option from the town, because none of us knew that COVID would be great for golf. It turns out it has been great for golf. We went in this other direction and to build this lost golf course, which was going to be financed by members and real estate. And I'm happy to say the membership is full for now. And the real estate, we have 17 lots. We've sold 16 of them. We have a few very active, interested buyers on the last one. So that project is fully funded. No stopping it now. The design team and construction team and agronomy team is doing a fabulous job. It's exceeding all of our expectations. We had a big national media out, and they wrote that they thought they worried that it, there was so much hype on it that it couldn't live up to the hype, and they thought that it exceeded their expectations and could be one of the greatest golf courses on the planet. So that was great to hear them say. That's going well. We hope to have 12 holes seeded by the end of this summer, and then we'll finish the rest of them next June and early July, and open to public play in 2023. We're going to use one of the homes as our temporary clubhouse for a couple of years. We are building a pro shop, right beside the first tee, and hope to have that built sometime next summer. The trails, Jerry and I had over the course of the winter been working on the Snowmobile Trails. I believe we have all the routing, the distance, everything finalized, and those will be complete by the start of the snowmobile season.
You and I need to meet to lay that out for sure, 'cause
Yeah.
we're gonna start putting our maps together in August, so
Okay.
to make sure that we're on the same page.
Well, I'll reach out if you want to meet early next week. We could finalize that, but our commitment to Jerry and the Snow Bandits would be that those trails would be in place and final. And they also include new trails within the resort, basically to get north-south through the resort boundary near Mammoth Dunes and connect. So we've made that commitment. We'll get it done. They'll be open by this winter. ATV trails, I haven't communicated with anybody on ATV trails. I guess I had presumed that they would either share the trails or use the road. So if there's any representative from the ATV community who would like us to consider them, if somebody could have them reach out to me, we're happy to accommodate, or hear out what their needs are. But to date, we've only been talking with the Snow Bandits. The dust control was something that came up, and we didn't do a great job on early on. I know a lot of people thought there was the sand moving. It was really the silt on our haul roads that's finer and can travel. The sand will move, but it won't migrate very far. So we've started watering all of our haul roads on a daily basis to stop that. And if you've heard anything since then, let me know so that I could talk to the team about what they are or not doing. But I think as soon as that came up, Jamie and I met within a day or a couple hours. I don't remember. That night the team had a plan, and I hope that's resolved that issue. The other questions I've been hearing about recently is the state of the berm. Just so everybody in this room knows, we have stockpiled sand for that berm. Started, but not to a large extent, shaping that. It's our plan along Apache to complete by this fall the beautification of that berm. So it won't be a linear sand ridge. It will ebb and flow in height and direction and amplitude, and we'll chunk in grasses and seed different coverings and hope to make it something that's gorgeous and beautiful and something that the whole community is proud of. So that's our plan. There have been issues. We've had staffing challenges throughout the resort and key positions. It's been hard staffing for that. equipment for that. So at the least, we have a crew in Madison who, when they're done, will be able to come up and give that their full attention. And then as things slow down on the golf front, that team will be able to drop back to finalize it. Some of the seeding has to be done in the fall for the grasses. So that's the state of the berm. We had not planned on doing anything immediately on 15th Avenue. That's stockpiled, and as the homeowners will work with their landscaper to shape those. We can stabilize it with a cover crop so that it doesn't blow around, and frankly the cover crop looks great, but then over time we will shape it and sculpt it and beautify it. Burning was an issue that came up this winter, and what we tried to do is save burning for days where the wind wasn't blowing toward Lake Arrowhead. We've paused all burning for the summer, for the busy season. There's a small amount of burning left that we'd like to do over the winter, and we'll do that in communication with the town. Again, on days where the wind's either blowing away from Lake Arrowhead or where the climate is such that the smoke rises. There were days where it just sort of hung low. And I think you could all remember in early winter, there were just these real heavy, like fog days, right? That froze and it was beautiful on the trees. But when we burned on those days, the smoke just hung low and was obnoxious to anybody who lived near it. And we're not going to let that happen again. So that's really it. That's an update on what we're doing. We got a lot going on, a lot more to come. Our guests are happy, and we're thrilled. Certainly thrilled to be working in this community. We have some projects going on elsewhere in the world with communities that are less exciting to be working with. So we're just happy to be here and grateful as always to be a part of this community, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have any.
Yeah, Michael, the 5 homes that you mentioned that are being constructed, are those going to be basically short-term rentals?
Those are, yeah, they are. They are similar to the first 10 homes that we've built. And they, this summer, Will could give you our exact numbers, but they're basically 100% occupied. They're our most popular hotel rooms. So they are homes owned by individuals, but just like all the rooms at the resort, they're put into the nightly rental pool. And these will be the same.
Great.
They will be the last rooms that we build that go into the nightly rental pool, or the last home rooms that go to the nightly rental pool before the next golf course. We think we're probably good with the additional play that we'll get from the Lido. We will build some additional traditional hotel rooms. That could change a little bit, but we think we're sort of at a good place in terms of room capacity to golf capacity, and matching those with a few more standard hotel rooms being built the next couple of years.
Do you know where you're at right now with hotel rooms as far as number?
I lost track when we were at 182 and we're adding 20 rooms, so I want to say we're over 200 now. Will, do you know off the top of your head?
It's hard to quantify.
That's beds, sorry, not rooms.
Yeah, beds. We count them as 96 rooms, but 160 sounds right for beds.
Yeah. We're happy to follow up with, it's something we should know off the top of our head, but we could report on that.
Your 750 people, does that include caddies?
Yeah.
Or okay. And coincidentally, because I just asked this of Derek Smith from Economic Development, Chulo Vista is in Adams County and is the largest employer, and they're right around 500, so that would make you the largest.
So we'll catch them. Wait, they're 500 full-time yearly equivalents?
No, they're just
Yeah,
so I think
yeah.
you're either
Yeah.
equal or maybe even
Okay.
over. Yeah.
Okay, great.
There was some conversation about an addition to SV homes on the resort, and I think there was like 6 lots in there. Are you still considering that?
Yeah, we're currently marketing 7 home sites on the resort that have been, I believe, approval is now final. Those are home sites that cannot go into the nightly rental pool by the owners.
Yeah, and I think we have to do an expansion to the CSM for that, so
Mhm.
we still have to, we have a tentative map, but we would still need to do an expansion to the current CSM.
Okay.
Okay.
Does Coco know where that stands? She's been leading that.
We left it that we were gonna work with, Veer Becker, that
Okay.
Veer Becker was gonna get final mapping.
Okay, great.
Um,
There is a new village that we're planning, certainly not yet platted or CSM'd, but additional. But we're, in the beginning of August, we're closing on, I think, 320 acres in the northwest corner along 16th Avenue and Archer. And within that 320 acres, we have roughly 20 home sites that we hope to sell if this market continues. Mostly open space, well within the density of the PUD that we had, you know.
I think, is that already in PUD zoning, or would that have to be added to PUD zoning?
Well, that's a great question. I believe the PUD does go all the way from outside of our boundary, from 13th Avenue all the way to 16th. That's the TIF. The PUD does not. The TIF boundary does. No, the PUD, we would have
I know
to
we've had
amend
to
that.
rezone that
Yeah.
PUD in some areas, so I'm guessing that that kind of size probably is going to need to go to
Yeah.
zoning.
Yeah, okay.
And the start on home development in Lido, when do you think they might break ground for home development?
As soon as the road's done. So I know I saw Verbecker when I was driving here. They're working on some cut and fills. You know, I hope end of August that road's done. They'll make their way all the way toward Apache, and then the power's gonna come in from Apache. So I think they'll be able to get started before permanent power's there. You know, as soon as the road's there, they can lay foundations, start framing. I don't think they need permanent power until they're sort of, I hope they start, let's say, end of August.
And any consideration for natural gas for those homes?
We have not considered it. We are certainly open. It's been brought up, I guess, when the basic economics, when we looked at it, it didn't make sense necessarily for us. I think what we should do is, as soon as we close, which is happening over the next month, our first wave of closings is this week, is present it to the HOA. Because I think it does benefit the homeowner. As developer, it didn't make sense. But long-term, if I were a homeowner, I'd want to know about it, so I'm happy to make the introduction to the HOA and let the homeowners decide, you know, for themselves if collectively they want to make that investment, and we'd be happy to help market it, because I think it does make sense. And I know there are other benefits to the community by bringing it down, particularly down 16th, as I understand it.
Getting it down.
Or 15th, sorry.
15th down.
Yeah.
Archer.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, just one last one. On the berms that are on Apache, now the growth that's on them, then that's just temporary, that's ground cover. That will be replaced by something that's
Yeah.
more, landscaped.
Yeah, and you could see they're starting to do that right across from Lake Arrowhead this week. There's been one excavator working, so it's sort of linear with, that's just natural revegetation. And then as soon as they start breaking that up and shaping it, then they chunk in. And then in the fall, we'll seed on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan, and we're certainly open to, you know, if there's a preference from the community of, you know, there's a variety of ways that we can make it look. It could be prairie grasses, it could be the chunking. We've just tried to replicate what we've done at the resort, which we like, but we're open to other options as well.
Just seeding, I think the concern is just that they
The
are,
open sand. It'll all be seeded. We because there's no irrigation on it, we would do a dormant seeding in the fall. I should let Jens answer this. What we've done in the past is a dormant seeding in the fall, so then it grows out in the spring. Another option is to plant it in the spring. If we plant it in August, most of the seed won't survive. It's extremely expensive seed. You know, we're putting in beautiful nectar plants and flowers and, you know, prairie species, not just a cover crop. So we want it to be successful because it's a pretty big line item. And then over time, it will just fill out as it seeds itself in. But we're giving it our full prairie mix, which should look great.
Does that prairie mix need to be burned at any point to help it spread?
It helps. It doesn't have to be. We started our first burning last fall and then did some additional ones this spring. And Jens could speak better to, you know, why the burning helps, but it does help. And if the town was open to it, we'd love to help facilitate that. But it can survive and flourish without the burning. But prairies will always do better with the burn. Just come back thicker and lusher, and it will keep invasive species out. So we'd love to, you know, if the town was open to burning. And I know there are grants for that, and we've started pursuing those for prairie burns. And it's also a fun thing to get volunteers involved in. It's just the whole maintenance of a prairie, whether it's seed collection or burning or spreading of the seeds. You know, it's something you do with a group of people, and we've had, you know, volunteers led by Chelsea Sorbo who really enjoyed being a part of that. And then when you volunteer, you could take some of the seed home and, you know, spread that in, you know, in your garden or in your property. So I think it'd be neat to get people involved in this particular location.
Michael, prior to COVID, I think you were looking at a restaurant and a brewery, barbecue. Is that
Yeah.
what you're still looking at now, or is it something
No, we've
different?
shifted it. It wasn't so much COVID, although that delayed it and things come to light, you know, over time. It was really the deal. It was a very expensive building, and like most of what we do, it was going to be owned by somebody else, leased back to us. And at the end of the day, there just wasn't enough to go around to work for both groups. So we abandoned that plan. That was fast casual plus a brewery. We're now going to do this. The restaurant on the tennis will have a pizza kitchen, and then will be Italian food at night, sort of a bistro during the day. When we open Sedge Valley, we'll need additional seats, and that will probably go, that will be a fast casual barbecue restaurant, and our current thought is to put that at the Sandbox, you know, which would just be, you know, Sandbox is sort of the, you know, most relaxed setting that we have at the resort, and we think it'd be great to just have, you know, barbecue there, live music, people playing golf. So that's probably what's going to come next. But, you know, a couple of years, things could totally change. We're always just trying to chase the best ideas and listen to our guests and hear what it is they want and what our team can pull off. So the brewery is not currently happening, but, you know, at some point we would love to have a brewery on the property.
We were able to attract a nano brewery with the hope of a microbrewery, that it would grow to a microbrewery in Rome Town Center. So they break ground next year.
Terrific.
So maybe we can partner
Yeah.
with Up North Brewing being served at Sand Valley.
That's easy. Let's do it.
Yeah,
That's exciting. Congratulations.
yeah, we're very excited.
Any other questions, audience? Yes?
You mentioned the snowmobile trails would be ready
By
by the
snowmobile
special
season.
day. Anything you can do to make sure we have snow when the season
Do
starts?
our best. Last couple of years have been good, right? Last year was good. Better.
For a short period of time,
For a short
it
period.
didn't last long.
Did you put that down? Anybody else?
Carl?
Yes.
We've had some previous discussions about water access for fire protection.
Yeah.
Any plans that are in place before liners go in?
So I just got the email yesterday from Jamie. Our liners are in. I know it's easier to do before they're in. But that, I know it's easier to do before they're in, but we should explore how we can put them in after.
I would be more than happy to come out and take a look at what we can do, because it's also the limitations of fire equipment versus access and stuff. We could only raise 10 feet and need a vertical lift, so being able to get access, or do we go right to one of the high cap wells and have it piped at that point, so it can just come off the well and then we have a pressurized system coming versus having to draft out of the lake or the pond, and then be able to provide much more fluid water flow.
Yeah.
In the event, I hope we never have to come out there and put a fire out, but odds are, at some point, it's gonna happen. And so if we can be in front of it, it'd be great.
Well, can we just get, try to understand the engineering of it, but I know our team does, so I think the best.
I've talked quite a bit with Rob about it already, and
So I'll just let him know that I endorse it and let you guys figure out the best way to handle that. if that
okay,
works.
thank you.
Anybody else?
Is there anybody joining us by WebEx that would like to ask a question?
Right.
I would just like to thank Michael for continuing to invest in our community.
We love doing it.
Thank you. Number 11, discussion and possible action, update on future ambulance service considerations, including request for proposals, creation of an ambulance service, and update on current services agreement.
There was a memo included in your packet. Why don't we take them one at a time? So, request for proposals. There are still currently, that I'm aware of, the 4 RFP proposal holders that are listed on the memo. We haven't received any completed RFPs to date. That's not necessarily concerning. Most of the times when we put out RFPs, they are delivered the day that they are due. So that would be July 22nd at 2 p.m. that they would be due. Our next ambulance subcommittee meeting is Monday, July 26th at 4 p.m. That's where we will open those RFPs. And as requested by Supervisor Bowman, then you'll get a copy of whatever was submitted directly after that, but the committee will discuss those and then has approximately a month to work through that process. At that meeting, then we'll also have our police department representative join us, which is Catherine Jason, who you met tonight, the new officer. You would have received an email correspondence from me directly after the last board meeting from Nakusa Ambulance on a follow-up to some of our questions that we had previously asked. And then just this afternoon, we did receive notice that they would continue the relocation of the ambulance in Nakusa through the month of August. That email also included some phrasing to set up a meeting, that he would be in touch to set up a meeting to discuss operational plan changes that Nakusa Ambulance would like to make. I think it's best that that meeting is during one of our regular town board meetings, that Joe would join us here, either in person or virtually. And I would extend back to him the 2 dates that we meet in August, the 5th and the 15th, to have that conversation about those changes in the operational plan. We did issue a quorum notice, and 4 of the 5 of you were at the meeting, their public safety meeting in the city of Nakusa, where they talked a lot about their staffing concerns, and the fact that they needed to work with their financial individual on budgeting and some better long-term planning for the service.
Yeah, I think 95% or better of the attendees at that meeting were folks from Rome rather than Nakusa. And I'd like all your comments and thoughts you took away from that meeting. I've got a few, but
Yeah,
if you'd like to share them with us, please.
I'd like to say a few
Within
things.
reason. I mean, Nick, cut us off if we're going.
I think it's within the scope of the agenda item.
Oh, yeah, first of all, I'd like to say that I think that I am correct in saying that the vast majority of us here in Rome view ambulance service as essential, even if in the future it's going to cost us some more money, which I would imagine that's going to be the case. First of all, before I get going here, I would like to thank our paramedic and EMS people. They are great volunteers. They're highly trained. They're highly motivated. And the town needs to be more in tune with recognizing their service. So I would think that going forward, we need to have a conscious effort to recognize these people and the contributions that they make to our community. The present service that we get from Nakusa Ambulance Service by any means is lacking in what we thought we would get 2 years ago when we had our initial agreement with Nakusa Ambulance. That agreement was done by management that is no longer there. So it's not an ironclad thing. It's just basically a handshake, a memorandum of understanding.
We have an agreement with them.
We
The
have it?
memorandum of understanding came after.
Yes.
Yes.
In attending the meeting at Nakusa, it turns out, I didn't know this before I went, but it's run by a part-time employee, which is Joe.
He's volunteer on call. He's
So
not.
it's not even a paid position.
No, it's a paid position, but it is not. It's the same as all of the members.
And in thinking about this and the cost of perhaps if we decide to fund it ourselves, I would say, at least it's my opinion, that a 24/7 staffing here at our facility is really unrealistic, both from a staffing point of view and getting people to be there, and also from a funding point of view. By any measure, most of the calls that are received for ambulance services are between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. So a day shift would be my recommendation as far as going forward with that. Because I think to staff at 24/7, we're talking probably in excess of $400,000. The other thing is, in talking to a lot of the paramedics and EMS people, they're more than happy to be on call. To be here at our facility 24/7, it's kind of unrealistic. They're more than happy to be on call from their home. So that's kind of, if we're going to have a local ambulance service, that's probably how it would end up. This adds about 8 to 12 minutes to our response time by the time the average person gets from their house to our facility. Which would also, be about equal to what the response time would be from either Nakusa or Rapids. Nakusa ambulance is dispatched from Wood County. So when our people call 911, it goes down to Adams County. They in turn relay the call back up to Nakusa, which adds another 30 seconds to a minute or two to the response time. So that's just something to keep in mind. If we had an ambulance service that was in Adams, it would be directly called from Adams County. In thinking about our local volunteers and on-call, we probably do not have enough volunteers to staff our facility on call 24/7. So again, it makes thinking about staffing our facility during the day a lot more realistic in my mind. It sounds good in front of the board here to say, hey, we're going to have it 24/7, but I think reviewing that going forward, it's going to probably turn out a little differently than that. There's not enough revenue to support our entry into a town-operated EMS paramedic service, even with a per capita charge of $65. Currently, our per capita charge is what, $1,605 or $1,603, something like that?
1607.
1607. Most calls involve Medicare, which again limits the amount of revenue that we can receive. I mean, you can charge $1,500, $1,800 for an ambulance call. If it's a Medicare patient, we're probably going to net out at about $400. So that severely limits the revenue that you would have given our population and the age of our population. In thinking about Nakusa and attending their meeting up there, I think most of us would agree that it's unrealistic to expect that there's going to be any improvement in that service anytime soon. And it's sad because I think if we had been able to partner with them on a one-to-one basis, maybe we could work it out. The revenues obviously be higher for them than it would be for us. So, but I think that opportunity right now is gone, even though they may bid on our RFP. Hopefully, looking forward, private ambulance service will prove to be the most realistic option for us. I know some people are against that, but I think just all things considered, that's probably where it's going to end up, regardless of any added expense. I hope, and I think all of us feel the same way, that we really want to have a reliable ambulance service here, whether it's staffed out of our facility or someplace else with a realistic response time that would go with it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of read my mind on a lot of your thoughts there. I guess I was extremely disappointed that there was no strategic speak of what they were going to do to rectify their staffing problems. There was 6 people were named as leaving, and then we moved on to the next agenda item, and that was disappointing. And as Bob mentioned, they flat out said that they're going to be responding to our RFP with conditions that don't meet what we've asked for. So disappointing, but you know, again, private services are what are going to be responding at this point, and I think that that's probably going to be where we land our next step in the evolution of this town for the time being.
Sure.
Like Dan, I was very, very disappointed in their preparation for the meeting, especially their chief. Completely unprepared to address the issues at hand. I mean, it was just waste of time, basically.
Yeah, I heard a lot of "I hope," which is not, in my mind, not a strategy.
I think, did you mention that we've already received notice that the ambulance isn't going to be here in August either?
We just did
No.
today.
Yep.
Yes.
Which I would expect that'll be the case in September as well.
Yeah, probably through the end of the year.
Yeah, 'cause they don't have a plan to go forward to improve the situation with staffing.
It's interesting too, even after they recalled the ambulance to Nakusa this month in July, I think one of the very first calls that we had, and they were going to relook at how they were going to staff things, we had a call here at Lake Camelot, and again, they responded with 2 ambulances, so it just doesn't make sense in my mind.
He alludes to that in the email today, that they will be staffing 3 members during the month of August at the Nakusa station.
Yeah, I don't think any of us left the meeting thinking they were gonna take care of us in August. Just from their conversation, they had no plan in place. And I've always been under the understanding that, you know, the town offers services, fire, police, and EMS. I didn't know it was I'm new to all this, but I didn't know it was not necessarily a profit center, but a break even based on costs. But still, they were complaining about morale problems after cutting their payroll or the employees' pay. Well, yeah, that's going to happen. You can't find in the budget to replace it. I didn't understand that, and yeah, they lost 6 people shortly, and you wonder why. So, yeah, I had the same bad feeling when I walked out of there. I didn't want to say anything there because I didn't want to give out anything. I mean, if they're going to do an RFP for us, I'd say, well, you know, staff it the way the people want to staff it, and the cost is, you know, be what it may, you know. But I don't think they even considered that. Their total conversation was, you know, how are they going to fund it? The people there can't pay for it, and again, we're paying $16.07. That's a drop in the bucket, really.
Yeah.
It's just, I just didn't understand it at all. So hopefully,
And
we'll
they
have
had
some-
ample opportunity to raise not only the per capita rate, but the rate that they charge
Yeah.
along the way. I think
Are
they
they charging people in the Nakusa $16.07 also, or is that a
Yes.
different one?
All 12.
Yeah.
All 12 municipalities they represent have the same
1607.
agreement, and they could have raised it.
Twice,
I think it was 3% per year every year.
And-
60% per year.
Thank
They
you,
left
Chief.
30% on the table.
And maybe they wouldn't have had to cut salaries in. I don't know. I didn't understand that. I really didn't. I mean, they don't have a budgeting process, and they can't keep track of what they're doing. I know everybody had issues when the economy turned south, but still, I mean, you look at things and, you know, you take care of your people. But I don't know. Hopefully, we got some good news coming next week.
So at this point, I will email back to the ambulance chief, and we'll extend those 2 dates of August 5th and August 15th for him to come and speak to town board.
Good.
In your email to them, can you ask for a copy of their agreement with Wisconsin Rapids?
I can.
I think we deserve to know.
I think that was they were talking about that at the meeting. It's basically a paramedic agreement,
Fine.
cross-charging for
We deserve
services.
to know what exactly they are getting from Rapids and what that contract consists of, because it's likely that if our contract requires that and they don't have that, they're getting it from Rapids, or they're not getting it. I think we want to see the copy of that contract.
We'll also ask them to, they do have a couple items left. They have some dishes, some medical supplies that aren't, you know, medicine, but medical supplies, and we'll ask them to collect all of those things out of the building too by July 31st.
Anything else on 11? Comments?
Do we, so a question, because I assume this agenda item is going to continually reappear for the foreseeable future. On the creation of an ambulance service, I've heard comments from a couple of us sitting here that we don't see that as realistic for the town at this point in time. Do we keep that language on there, or do we take that off? Because I don't want the public to think that we're doing something that we're not.
Yeah. Again, what, are there grants out there that can cover some of this cost? Can
Does it have to
somebody
be
step up and pay
significant?
for an ambulance? That's a big nut, isn't it?
It is certainly not feasible for January 1.
No, not at all, no.
It's a longer term project
Yes.
than that, to do some research and do it right. And doing it in less than a year, no, it's not gonna happen.
I guess I agree with you then, yeah.
Well, and to that point, the subcommittee, that gives the subcommittee some direction on what they're discussing.
Yeah.
If that's something that you want them to consider to discuss and make a possible recommendation on, fine. Otherwise, they'll likely eliminate that piece of it off their investigation.
I think we can take it off ours, but they can still look
Okay.
into it.
So you still would like them to continue to explore it?
Yeah, we kept it on the subcommittee agenda just to explore future opportunities and maybe look at the numbers again to see if there was any place that we could make an inroad into the financials.
So then I would think that if the subcommittee made a recommendation at some point, it'll be back on our agenda.
Yeah.
The town board
Please.
agenda.
But it
Lori?
can be removed from the ongoing discussion that we've been having.
Lori, come up here, please.
I'll put it on here. Lori Giamatti, I appreciate you allowing me to speak. And as Bob said, I've always been grateful historically for the service we've been given from all of our emergency responders, especially Nakusa Ambulance in the past, because they've always been there when we needed them. And staffing issues change over time, and there may be some reasons for that that some of us still don't fully understand. And our fire department has always been very good. And also, sometimes I think our police are overlooked as emergency first responders, because sometimes they're the first ones at your home. They can help calm you and get the situation ready. So sometimes I think they're overlooked as well. So all three of them historically have always been very good. I would like to say though that having followed this subject for a very long time, and all of you've heard me say this on the board before, who strongly advocated to get an ambulance in town, which is one of the main reasons I think that building ended up being built, is that I'm here tonight because out of all things bad usually comes some good. And I think that I'd like to really advocate for you to consider out of this bad has come an opportunity for you to really look at some different ways of doing business that we've tried to explore in the past and haven't always been able to do that for one reason or another, and possibly because of voices in different departments or what have you. But with the interim police fire chief, that allows you an opportunity to consider contracting the EMS services and putting that budget back under the management of the town administrator where it was placed once before, when we originally did that contract. The MOU was after my time on the board. With that thought, the fire department could focus solely on fire safety and all that entails, including the improvement of relations with our surrounding departments, good or bad, that provide us our mutual aid, and with the direction of the town board and management of the administrator, fully and transparently explore the options of possibly forming that fire district in the future, because some of that activity has already been taking place without the full knowledge of the community and possibly other people as well, based on open records requests and the following that I've been doing of this subject matter since last year. If you form an EMS commission under Wisconsin State Stat 660301, that's similar to a police and fire commission, they too could fully and transparently study and recommend the future of emergency medical services in Rome and eventually explore the options of forming an EMS district. As I've shared with our town chair, I've spoken with him about this subject matter. They've done that successfully to the south of us in Adams. If issues such as dead brush, water cleanliness, alcohol licensing, land use, utility, the water utility, and other issues are important enough to have a task force, a committee, or a commission, why wouldn't emergency medical services deserve the same? And under that statute, you could form a commission just like the PFC. Laws have changed like Act 97 that impact EMS, and as we know, the service options vary, and staffing is difficult, not only in small towns like ours across our state, but across this nation. All you have to do is sit and read for a couple hours, and you'll find that everywhere. So there's many different opportunities to explore, and I don't know that if we continue exploring the option, it's your choice, you're the board, but you were to the point where you say take it off the agenda and then you put it back on, and I'm afraid that that would continue us to go down a path that maybe the subjectivity and objectivity isn't there like you always like to refer to, Carl. So I think, again, a commission could maybe provide you those things like a PFC would with the fire chief and the police chief. So that's what I had, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Sure, please.
Good evening, my name is Will Beckstrom, I've met some of you.
Address?
For those, 1326 Apache Circle. For some of you, I relocated here in December of 2019. At the time, my son did not have any disabilities or medical issues. On December 22nd, my son suffered a seizure, and Nakusa ambulance responded in 7 minutes. They saved my son's life. He spent a week in Marshfield. He still suffers from those disabilities now, and we work through them. But it's really hard when you hear that the service might not be there that saved your son's life. We chose to live here because that service was there. A lot of people said maybe you should go live in Rapids. Maybe you should be closer to those medical services that your son might need. But experiencing it firsthand before we bought our home was what ultimately made us decide to live here. And we really like being a part of this community, but if those services aren't available, I have no other choice. And that's really hard. And I strongly urge that we keep those services as best as we can. There are people here who need it. I serve on the Visit Rome board. We have people visiting this community every single day. My employer, we have 700 guests on our property. We need these medical services in our town. If we don't have them, I don't know what happens for my son and others. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. All right, number 13, discussion and possible action, review of current fire chief position and consideration. I skipped 12, I'm sorry. Number 12, discussion and possible action, introduction of interim fire chief and determination of interim position wage. I'm sorry.
So why don't we welcome Mark Kane up to the podium. He can introduce himself. I'm sure many of you have probably already met Mark, but Mark was extended from the Police and Fire Commission selection for the interim chief position.
So my name is Mark Kane. I've been with the Rome Fire Department for the past 5 years. Most currently serving as one of the division chiefs, and I was tasked with most of our fire prevention duties. I am also a critical care paramedic and currently employed by Nakusa Ambulance Service. Have been there for the past 8 years and served with Big Flats Fire 5 years prior to coming to the town of Rome. Looking forward to being able to continue the growth we have here and working with all of you as our town continues to grow and move all of our safety efforts forward.
Thank you.
So as part of this interim position, town board sets wage. There is a recommendation in the packet. This again would be a part-time position at 25 hours per week. But that's a recommendation. The setting of the determination of the wage is a town board decision.
Discussion? Did the subcommittee come up with any recommendations on wage?
I
didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a recommendation. It would be salary 25 hours per week and at $32.02 per hour.
Okay, I didn't get that.
Well,
Same as we currently have.
So are we doing an hourly or are we doing a set amount every 2 weeks?
A set amount every 2 weeks.
Very
Yep.
different, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
It
16.
works out to
32.02
32.02 an hour,
Yes.
but it is a set amount every 2 weeks of $1,600.89.
It's a proportional fraction of what the budgeted full-time chief wage was, from what I can tell.
That is correct.
I make a motion that we approve the salary of $1,600.89 for the interim fire chief.
I'll second it.
Discussion. I know, Jamie, you're gonna be stepping in since this is interim and it's 25 hours. Should we be considering what roles fall on which shoulders in terms of rate of pay and experience and things like that?
So we did have a conversation with leadership staff and Chief Tubb before he left, and we have sort of a chart on where things are divided. My stepping in will be administrative in invoicing and assistance as we work through the budget process, taking care of mail, things that would otherwise come through town hall. And some of the leadership staff within the fire department are already assisting with payroll processing, so they'll continue with that piece. But we do have kind of a chart where we're tracking who's in charge of what.
And maybe it's more of a question for Mark. Is there a backfill or appointee for your position then in the department? Or
That is an area that has not been addressed on how the duties that I currently have been filling will be taken care of, or how we're going to make it through that. Our labor pool is paid on call and is only so deep. So there's a that could be a long discussion.
So this is covering 25 hours. That doesn't include calls, right? How do you handle calls then? Obviously, it's going to be more than 25 hours with calls.
Again, it would be a salary time frame, and so it would be the part-time.
Okay, so that's all included in there.
Yeah. And we would have
From an
to,
administration standpoint, we would want to set a threshold to know when we're getting anywhere near 40 hours a week. I would think the threshold would be around 30 hours a week if we were consistently going above that, so we can monitor that closely. Implications, of course, from an overtime perspective, with something like this, it's going to be subject to overtime, even though you are salaried, it would be salary non-exempt, and so we do want to be monitoring that for that exact reason.
Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 13, right?
13.
Number 13, discussion of possible action, review of the current fire chief position and consideration of position changes prior to recruitment.
again, there was a longer memo in the packet regarding this for this evening. I did reach out through the Wisconsin City County Managers Association to collect some starting data points. I thought we could have a conversation tonight if there are other comparables that you would like called and to get more specific information. But I did receive the Wisconsin State Fire Chief Association's 2020 salary survey that was included in your packet, which provides a comparison of wages across the state, and those that are marked in red are considered volunteer departments. They might have a full-time chief. Everyone on this list has a full-time chief, but they are still considered volunteer departments if they're marked in red. So just some data points from across the state. And then I did ask on our administrator listserv for those communities that are 10,000 and under, what is their current setup for the fire department, volunteer, full-time chief, part-time chief, and wage, and included that the start of those comparables in the packet. Again, if there are additional comparables that you would like specifically called, I thought we could have that conversation tonight. And then lastly, just the current position description for the fire chief, and whether it's this evening or at the next meeting, just having a conversation about if there are any specific changes, additions that the town board would like to see before we would advertise for that permanent replacement. Did something very similar when we went through the Director of Public Works recruitment, and in that one, we actually made the determination that it would be a Director of Public Works instead of a Superintendent of Highways that it was previously, and then updated the position description and wage accordingly.
Anybody have any thoughts on consideration of changes? Any changes?
Well, I mean, Jamie's gonna be getting involved, and Mark probably has his own perspectives to share with either us or Jamie. Don't have to do it tonight, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be good for us to take some time to see if there's any changes that are recommended.
I would appreciate a few weeks with my feet on the ground to
Sure.
be able to start working through some stuff.
And these salaries, we're all over the place, aren't we?
That's all over the board.
Yeah, it is
Size.
a large range.
Yeah. Size has something to do with it, but in some cases doesn't appear to be close, so, okay. So we'll think about it for a couple weeks, let it stew, and come back with some thoughts and recommendations. We'll leave this one open. Table this one till next meeting or even the one after.
I would say we probably need 30 days.
Okay.
The chief to, our interim chief, get his feet on the ground and then have a better idea of what's involved here, and also for Jamie to understand the administrative side, that some of that, most of that was being done in town hall previously, wasn't it?
Yes, not by me per se, but yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we wanna maybe do that one August 15th? We would just slate that one for August 15th.
I
That'd
think,
be my recommendation.
yeah, I agree.
Jamie, that would be August 19th, not the 15th. The 15th is a Sunday.
Thank you. 5th and 19th, thank you.
And number 14, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from Plan Commission regarding consideration of a final plat for Alpine Acres subdivision to be located on an 80-acre parcel owned by secluded land company described as Section 7, 20 North, Range 6 East, Northeast 1/4 of the Southeast 1/4, and Northwest 1/4 of the Southeast 1/4, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, parcels number 030-00629-0000 and 030-00630-0000. Okay.
I can give just a real quick background on this. I'll speak to both numbers 14 and 15. Both of these are final plats. They were considered by the Plan Commission at its last meeting on July 12th, 2021. Before that, they were reviewed by staff. The zoning administrator's report that is in your packet indicates and notes that the same that was reported to the Plan Commission, that both of those final plats are unchanged from the preliminary plat. And the Plan Commission, after its review, did recommend the approval.
Jack Akers is here this evening if you had any additional questions, and he does have larger scales of the map if you'd like.
Yeah, just looking at these maps that were provided to us, it looks like the directions as far as north, south, east, and west that are on here are wrong. It points north on the left side here, and it's got to be the other way around.
One are you on?
I'm just a small one like this.
Is it Alpine?
Yeah, they're on Alpine, yes.
Both of them are the same, though.
Well, you've got
A different one.
maybe push your north arrow.
Right, so
Alpines are on east-west.
It's east and west, that would be.
okay.
And then the other one, got it too.
No, it's the same. I guess it's the type is so small, it's kind of hard to read.
Yeah,
some.
I was like, that's why we have larger.
Well, the other way, and it's actually, so north is this way, because, Adams Avenue runs east and west, so is that.
Oh, it did change, okay.
Yeah, you've got an old copy there.
All right, thanks.
So, does anybody else wanna see them?
I can read this actually,
Okay.
with glasses.
Motion to approve the recommendation from the Planning Commission for the final plat for Alpine Acres subdivision.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 15, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from Plan Commission regarding consideration of a final plat for Lake Petenwell Getaway subdivision to be located on a 0.82 acre parcel owned by secluded land company described as Government Lot 4, Section 6, Town 20 North, Range 6 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, parcel numbers 030-00598-0000.
Also make the motion to approve the recommendation from the Plan Commission to approve the final plat for the Lake Petenwell Getaway subdivision.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action, number 16, approval of recommendation from Plan Commission regarding consideration of a proposed plan unit development project plan amendment relating to property owned by Wisconsin Dunes LLC, Sand Valley Golf Course, in addition of a tennis club including a restaurant and outdoor tennis courts, plus addition of a spa facility.
Motion to approve the recommendation by the Plan Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just one note, just for the record, that this did, as I said with the other two, this did come as a recommendation from the Plan Commission, with the additional note that this did have a public hearing. After the public hearing, the Plan Commission reviewed it and made a recommendation for approval.
Will, could I ask the question, there was a question about whether the tennis facility and spa facility would be open to the public? Oh, okay. Okay,
Oh, I forgot to ask Mike.
yeah, I had it on a different list.
He snuck out.
Any further discussion?
Did indicate the restaurant would be open.
He did, because he said for breakfast, lunch, or lunch and
Right.
dinner,
He
yeah.
said all restaurants would be open.
Yep,
I thought.
yep. I think there was just a question if the tennis facility and the spa would be, but, okay.
Glad he clarified all that. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 17, discussion and possible action, request from Visit Rome, Wisconsin for first responders to be present at the 5K fundraiser that is taking place at Hoozle's at the Lakes on August 28th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second for discussion. Didn't we used to charge for these services?
We have said that, that nonprofits could come to the town board and ask for a waiver of the cost.
So this one's not being hosted by Hoozles per se, there's that other
No, it's
organization.
for, yeah, it's a benefit for cancer survivors, for a
So-
cancer charity.
We'll cover the cost of the first responders. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
we don't
standby
expect them-
services there, yes.
Wouldn't expect them to do it for nothing. Any further discussion? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 18, the town board will go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, Section 1, Section C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. RE, commence bargaining of Rome Professional Police Association successor agreement. Can I get a motion, please? And this will be a roll call. Can we get to it?
Motion to go in closed section for Wisconsin stats. Section 19.85, sub 1, sub C.
Second.
And roll call vote, starting from my left.
Weisinger, yes.
Minter, yes.
Asdell, yes.
Goldman, yes.
Barheit, yes.
So, Chairman and, Madam Deputy Clerk Treasurer, if we could sign the plat maps, before we go into the other room for closed session. For closed session, we'll go into my office for that time, but if we could just have those signed, then Jack could take them. And then just a reminder that during closed session, the, mics and cameras stay live in this room.
All right, number 19.
Phones on.
The board reserves the right to come out of closed session and go into open session authorized by Wisconsin statute section 19.85, subsection 2, to possibly take action from the closed session and continue with the agenda. Can I get a-
Motion to come out of closed session.
Second.
Any discussion? Do we need to do a roll call on this as
You
well?
don't, well, you can do a roll call.
All right, let's do a
We've
roll
always
call.
done it.
I gotta practice.
Do a roll call.
Roll call from my left, please.
Wassinger, yes.
Minter, yes.
Asdell, yes.
Goldman, yes.
Barheit, yes.
And we are now out of closed session. And we are not taking any further action on that, of course. Dates and items for future agenda meetings. Number 20, next agenda items.
Gonna have the conversation about, grant possibilities at the next meeting. We do have a request for a waiver coming from Sherwood, for their event, for, services that were provided. Couple other items, so otherwise normal business.
We'll have our RFPs at that point, right?
We will have RFPs, I don't know that we will have decisions, but all of the board members will have received them by that date, yes.
Okay.
Number 21, next meeting date and time.
Thursday, August 5th at 5 p.m.
Can you get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.